Burgess, and welcome to part 2, How Do You Play Mississippi Blues. In this part we're going to look at the introduction lick, which is also used later on in the song to turn the song around. Now, let's just look at the first bar of the tablature. I have it written out like this. One more time. Now, let me just explain. Sometimes if you write all the little nuances of the slide on the tablature, it gets really complex. So here you can hear just a straight kind of clear melody line. But when I would play it, I might add a little more slide. For instance, in the beginning, instead of just this, I might go like this. See, so once I reach the 4th fret, I slide down. And also you see that on the 4th string I do this little slide from the 3rd to the 4th fret. And then I play the 1st string open. You can do that any other way. You know, you could use the slide, you could do the hammer-on. So a lot of ways that you attack the notes, you can change it up. Now in the second bar, it sounds like this. Okay, let's just look at that little part. Now, there's a couple triplets. And then a couple notes. Okay, now the thing about these triplets is the first one I'm using a hammer-on. So a hammer-on, what that allows you to do is to get 2 notes with 1 pluck. So as I pluck the 4th string, I come down on the 2nd fret. And then I play the 2nd string, the 3rd string open. Just look at the tab. See, so really you're only plucking 2 notes. But you're getting 3 notes, like a triplet. Now the next one is the same thing. It's a triplet, but now you're using a pull-off. So same idea, that you get 2 notes with 1 pluck. So what I'm doing here is I'm starting on the 3rd string, 3rd fret, and then I'm placing my 1st finger down on the 2nd fret. See, so again, 2 notes, 1 pluck. And then I'm playing the 3rd string open. So the 2 together. And then the next part, those last 2 notes, in a sense, I'm playing the 4th string, 4th fret, and I'm bending it down a little bit. And then I'm playing it open. Then I'm doing a slide, and again, you don't have to use a slide, you could use your fingers. I'm doing a slide on the 3rd string, and then playing it open. Your traditional, kind of typical blues turnaround. Play that again. And then we resolve it on the very last bar, on this kind of little walk here. See, I think with the tablature you'll have no problem getting this onto the guitar. You know, learning songs and learning licks is great. But what I would encourage you is to take it a step further. And what I've found that if you use a little basic music theory in your ear, the guitar will open up. It'll help you to organize your vision of the fingerboard. Because remember, there's only 12 notes, and they vary in pitch, and they repeat all over the fingerboard. So if you have a little bit of theory, it's going to make things a little more easy to understand. Now, like, for instance, we're playing in the key of G, and that 1st string is tuned to D. So if I played the G major scale from the D out, I'd get D, E, F sharp, G. So there's our tonic, our first tone, right, the 5th fret. So D, E, F sharp, G, and key of G in the major scale, F so sharp. So when I play that lick, you could really kind of hear the major scale sound to it. See, that little note that we're adding in there is called a passing tone. And when you play like in little half-step movements, one fret at a time, they call that a chromatic walk. You can almost hear the chromatic scale. See, now, so you could notice really kind of now where these notes are coming from. And this is a little different than if I was going to play the pentatonic blues scale, because I wouldn't be playing the F sharp. That's the major 7th. I would play the flatted 7th at the 3rd fret. That sound. Right? But you can see, the point is that it's not all about the pentatonic blues scale. There's this tension between the major and minor, and that's what the blues is all about. So you can't just, you know, think everything is a pattern and it'll all work out. There's a lot of extra notes, and like I said, the more you think about this and play around with this, like for instance, you can experiment. Here's another lick, say, based on what we learned. We'll play that again. You see? So there I was doing a little kind of a hammer-off, pull-off on the 2nd and 3rd fret. Right? So still we're walking through that flatted 3rd. Now, it's all on I'm all still on the 1st string. I could move it up a little bit. See, and up there I'm up that would be the 8th fret. Now remember, so what note is that? Remember I told you at the 5th fret was the G. See, so there's the G. So up there at the 8th fret, so that's the flatted 3rd. That's why it gives it that blues tone. See, all on the 1st string. There it's going. So you can almost hear the tension, the difference between the first look sounds kind of major. See, so that's the kind of the whole point about how I play guitar. Every time I learn a lick, I want to understand, well, why does it work? You know, what can I, you know, how can I use it with something else? And I think the more that you experiment and the more that you look at this simple lick, you're going to see all the different possibilities. So kind of in closing, let me just say this one more time really clearly. There's target notes. You know, maybe you're playing a song that's in a major key and it has that major sound. So then you might add other notes that aren't in the major scale, like passing tones. Same thing happens with the blues. It's not all about that 5-note pentatonic scale. There's a lot more that could be added. You could, like I said, you could add notes from the chromatic scale or from the major scale. And the more that, like I said, that you explore this and just simply understand it in one position, just try to take that same lick and move it somewhere else. Or, you know, like we were doing the bass, we were walking the bass up here. But that same kind of lick you could play up on the higher strings. So substitution is a great way to cause a little bit of a variation and make it interesting. So I hope you like these 2 lessons, and as always, please feel free to write, and if you have any questions, and I always like questions because they make me think too. So enjoy your practice,